Good evening. I call the November 13th, 2025 meeting of the Park Hill Board of Education to order. Mr. Montes is absent this evening. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you for silencing your phones tonight. I'd like to remind the board of our norms. Stay in the role of a board member, be respectful, be inclusive, be prepared, and be mission driven. And a reminder that our district mission statement is through the expertise of an engaged staff, the Park Hill School District provides a relevant education in a safe, caring environment to prepare each student for success in life. Board members, any announcements this evening? Ms. Barnes, we'll start with you.
Good evening. I just want to say that we're a couple weeks away from Thanksgiving, so just want to wish everyone a wonderful time with their family and enjoy that relaxing time together. And to our staff, you're almost there. I know this time of year gets a little whirly, but you're almost there. You have a couple weeks and you have a few days. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes. Mrs. Woodley?
Just wanted to go back a couple of weeks to the Missouri MSBA conference, and it was a great conference with a lot of breakouts that were very intriguing and informative for us as board members, and good time for us to network with other board members across the state. And one of the keynote speakers was a teenager, Orion Jeans, and his topic was Race to Kindness, and he was the 2021 Time Kid of the Year, and he had just had it on his heart to do all these things for kindness for his peers kids during COVID, and just each year has done different things. And I just wanted to just reiterate what he talked about of being kind. I kind of would love for us to do this in Park Hill, Race to Kindness, but it's a lot. But he said the K stood for keep your eyes open. The I was to include others, as in belonging. The N for kind was for to never take things too seriously, or to notice several things, I think is that. And D was to do something. And I see that in Park Hill, we are already kind of doing those things, and I just really want there to be more kindness throughout all of our buildings and our community, and just encourage others to just do that. That's it.
All right. Yeah, the MSBA conference is always a great time, so really. And this is our first board meeting since we went to that. So.
I was like, has it been a while?
Seems like that was a long time ago. All right, Ms. Norris.
Yeah, hi, good evening. I just wanted to, it's a happy belated but Veterans Day to those who are veterans in our Park Hill community. And I was struck by on Facebook, so many schools had celebrations and brought in veterans, including where my own kids were. And it was just amazing to see them go through the hallways. Kids were so excited, came home with questions, and they were really struck by the service that these veterans are giving to our country. And so I really appreciated that the schools were recognizing and teaching about that. I also just really liked how our food services is making sure to share opportunities in the community for pantries and other needs, especially, with kind of what's going on in the country, and reminding people to anytime throughout the year, if they need to apply for services that, that's available. And then last, I just want to thank the board and the administration for how welcoming everybody has been as I've joined the board and kind of trying to get under my feet. And I've really appreciated all the information and welcoming nature for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Norris. Mr. Todd?
None tonight, thank you.
Ms. Boland?
None tonight, thank you.
All right, Dr. Kimbrell, any additional announcements?
In addition to the MSBA conference, I also want to thank the board for their time. Friday, we spent our day here on November 7th as a work session and retreat, and had a great time to build as a team and also talk about pertinent topics. So thank you for your day that day. That's all I have.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to the adoption of the agenda. I'll need a motion and a second to adopt the November 13th, 2025 agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
A motion from Mrs. Woodley and a second by Ms. Barnes, to adopt the agenda as presented. Dr. Kimbrell, are there any modifications?
None tonight, thank you.
Board, do you have any modifications? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Any abstained? All right, motion carries 6-0. All right, we'll now move on to recognitions and awards, and I'll turn it over to Mrs. Wakeholder.
All right, greetings. Hello. We have 4 staff recognitions this evening, and we're going to start with Tom Garth. Come on up. Tom is here this evening. Tom Garth is our assistant principal and athletic director at Park Hill High School. And what's great about Tom, come stand right over here so that the TV screen can see you, so you get to be on the live stream. He loves that, I bet. He was named the Missouri Association of Student Council's Northwest Administrator of the Year. What's cool about this is that the Park Hill High School Student Council actually nominated and recommended him, and he won the award. So Dr. Garth, Mr. Garth, say what this award means to you on behalf of your student council.
Well, first, I want to thank you for the warning that I'm talking. Second, no, I think it's awesome. We're raising great kids and great leaders, not only in our building, but in our community. And that even goes out into the state where they're at their conventions and able to convince people to vote for somebody like me. So it's a joy to work with kids all around, but then some of these kids that you can just tell and see how awesome they are and how they make our building so special is great to us.
Congratulations. The board will shake your hand and we'll take a photo.
Appreciate it. Congratulations. Good job. Congratulations.
Mr. Garth, we have a stand-in photographer, Dr. Josh Peters, this evening. He's going to take your photo out in the hallway. Congratulations again. All right, next. We want to see if anyone from Angeline Washington and Project Adam could be here tonight. I don't think that we had anyone attending tonight for other obligations, but wanted to recognize Angeline Washington Elementary. They are our last school to become Project Adam certified, and want to take a moment to recognize them this evening, and we'll give this to Ms. Saylor so she can help recognize them in the future. Congratulations to Angeline Washington and Project Adam. Great. Shane, I know you're here. Shane, come on up. And did we get Justina to be here as well? Okay, Shane, come on up and stand right here, sir. This is exciting because we're so proud. This is Shane Williams, and he's a custodian at Congress Middle School. And Hawthorne is where Justina is. So these are 2 of our custodial team members at the elementary level, and they've achieved the Missouri School Plant Manager Association's Facility Managers Core certification. This program teaches key strategies for building a high-performing custodial team, maintaining a safe and healthy school environment, and developing leadership and communication skills, demonstrating business ethics in the custodial realm. So this is a great certification that our team can earn, and Shane and Justina earned that. Congratulations, Shane. I'm going to have you say a few words about what this means to you and what this actual award is for you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It was a great experience, great opportunity, very educational. It was nice to learn more about the aspects of facility management, and hopefully all of our head custodians can eventually go through the same program.
Congratulations. You'll shake the board's hand now. For context, Park Hill now has 11 employees who have earned their core certification on the custodial team. Congratulations again, Shane. And Dr. Peters will take your photo out in the hallway. Thanks for being here, Shane. All right. And last but not least, Amber, come on up here. All right, Amber is a gifted teacher at both Tiffany Ridge and Angeline Washington, and she's here tonight because she was named the Science Teachers of Missouri Elementary Level Award winner for outstanding science instruction. This prestigious award honors 2 educators, one elementary That would be Amber. And 1 secondary who exemplify the very best in science teaching. Amber was chosen for bringing three-dimensional learning to life, inspiring curiosity, fostering deep understanding, and preparing students to think and act like scientists. As STOM, the organization noted, Amber's dedication serves as a model for colleagues across the state and reflects the highest ideals of the profession. You were recently recognized at the STOM conference, is that correct? Yes. Okay. Amber, tell us about being the Science Teacher of Missouri Outstanding Science Instruction winner.
I think science is at the heart of so much of what we do, especially here in Park Hill, and I think it really speaks to our gifted program and Innovation Summer School and all the amazing things and programs we have going. And it helps me feel a little bit more like Miss Frizzle, which is always fun.
Do you dress like Frizzle?
I dress crazy all of the time, and I usually have crazy earrings every single day. So it's pretty much just a part of the personality, you know. It's part of being a gifted teacher, I think.
It is. Amazing. Thank you for being here. And we want to say that your husband is here. Can you please wave, husband? Congratulations to your wife. You'll shake the board's hands. Thanks for being here.
All right, and we have one more recognition that we'd like to shout out here. This is to recognize the district and present the board with a program that we're part of. It's called the Payment Solutions P-Card Program. It's essentially a credit card program available to through the Missouri School Boards Association with with security management features, online management, and a rebate opportunity. Through the use of the MSBA P-Card, the district again earned the largest rebate in the state of the program year of $127,562, the ninth consecutive year of topping $100,000. The cumulative revenue earned by the district to this point is $1,373,656.80. Here's our big check to Mr. Terwilliger. This is the what's in your wallet piece here. And so thank you to the board for supporting this program. And that's all we have.
All right. Put this, or should I put
I don't know. It's a
Go cash that.
weird size.
All right, so we'll now move on to public comments. During this part of our agenda, we will receive public comments from patrons who pre-registered by the noon deadline today, and we did have one patron that has pre-registered. So when called upon by the board president, patrons are to approach the presenter station, speak into the microphone, and state your name before making comments. Each speaker will have a 3-minute time limit, and the board secretary will monitor the time. Please direct your comments to the entire board. Generally, board members will not provide any response during public comment. However, if needed, board members and/or district staff may provide a response at a later time. Discussion about individual staff members or students is not allowed. Maria Wagner, you can now approach the presenter station. And you can begin when you're ready. Is that microphone on?
Hello, my name's Mariah Wagner. Good evening. I have come to you today to tell you how this new restructuring of the special education program has affected our family. Last year, during the discussions of redistricting, I came to the meetings to urge you to consider the well-being and needed consistency in education for special needs students such as my son. When the maps came out with our family still being in the boundaries of Line Creek, I was so relieved knowing that there wouldn't be a huge transition process for the next year. Then came his IEP meeting in February. There I was first informed of the plan to restructure the special education program to have specialized classrooms across the district, and that meant Flynn would not be at the school I advocated for him. His team let me know there would be They would be doing everything to help him make this transition, and that there were lots of benefits for him to have specific supports to build the skills he needs to succeed in middle school and beyond. So my husband and I bought into the plan because we were assured that this would help Flynn. Then the school year began. I have been called almost every week to come pick him up after his escalations. Sometimes it has been multiple times a week. We knew the transition would be rough, but again, we were under the impression this is where he needed to be placed. As the first quarter drug on, it was becoming clear that this new classroom and school doesn't have the facilities and supports he really needs. In a meeting this week with the teachers and administration of his current school, it looks like he will be transferred to either Union Chapel into their behavioral support classroom or the Russell Jones Center, both of which would have appropriate resources to help him succeed despite his behavioral health disabilities. The behaviors he has been exhibiting this year are no different than what has been documented in his file the previous 2 years. We're frustrated by the fact that it seems someone higher up in district level looked at his file and placed him at a school with the wrong supports and facility he needs. This error in judgment has essentially wasted close to a semester of building skills to thrive in the traditional middle school environment, and we'll have him again change schools, this time in the middle of the year. It is essential that students are placed where the staff has the facilities and skills to support their special needs. This has been a frustratingly negative experience for my son, his teachers, and his classmates. With our experience this year, I wonder how many other students in the special education program may have been misplaced in classrooms that don't fit their educational needs to thrive. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Wagner, for your comments tonight. We really appreciate it. All right, we'll now move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Before I call for a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda, are there any items that need highlighted? Dr. Kimbrell?
One item that I will point out for the board is item 9.18. This is a local plan for compliance with state regulations relative to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. I wanted to point this out as an annual process for you that you do every year. This is not in response to anything else. It's just an annual revision and acceptance of that particular plan. There's a long list under the consent agenda, so I'd be happy to answer any other questions on this item or anything in that list.
Board, any questions? Sir?
On item 9.15, the school-age child care program evaluation, it says there's quarterly workshops so that all staff can have the opportunity to come to the workshops and the training and opportunities. Are they the same presentations each quarter? Since staff are not able to come, if they're not able to come to.
I will either have to get you that information, or I don't know if Dr. Kelly, do you know the quarterly workshops that Lisa has with the school-age childcare? Are they the same training?
I can get more information.
Yeah, we'll get that information for you, Ms. Worley.
Okay. And on 9.16 with the ELD, I saw that all the measures we were that targeted for were not able to meet those, unfortunately. And I know that you have great staff, and Debbie Fromm is amazing with being the director, and that there's a lot of things that were from our presentation that we received, a lot of things being done. Do we need more staff? Is that part of the, there's a question you have to get back to me on that as well.
Yeah, I think to answer it broadly right now, you did provide more staff, and so this data is lagging. Okay. And so this data would support exactly the budgeted staff that we asked you for back when you approved the budget in June. So that was part of that. We should see if that staffing helps this. The other piece to this that we've seen is the need of our ELD student population is intensifying, and we have more newcomers than we've had before, and students that are coming to us that really have no English proficiency at this time, any ability to speak English, moving them from that space through the continuum to get them to proficiency, as you can imagine, a newcomer, that's the biggest jump to make. And so our teachers are working hard with that. We'll see how that data works out. If we feel like there are additional needs relative to the programming, then you'll see that in the upcoming budget cycle relative to our request. Dr. Bridewell, anything else to add to that?
I think you've clarified the staffing. We had posted positions last year to adjust to the additional caseloads that teachers had, but hiring mid-year can be very difficult. Teachers already have contracts, and so through approvals from the board and through the end of the year, as teachers can choose to apply to a new district, we hired more staff to address that increased caseload.
And I was able to see some of the resources when I went on my walk and talked at Chin Elementary, and it was amazing with the staff, their enthusiasm to help our students. So just wanted to ask about that measurement. Thank you.
Of course. Yep. And I saw the same at Graydon today. So. Good stuff. All right. All right, board, any other questions? Okay. Then I'll need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items 9.2 through 9.19 as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Todd and a second by Ms. Boland to approve the consent agenda as submitted. Any further discussion? All right, then all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Any abstained? Motion carries 6-0. We now have an information presentation this evening, presentation on math curriculum. Dr. Kimbrell and Dr. Bridewell, turn it over to you.
Yeah, and as our presenters come up to the table here, I'll before kicking this off over to Dr. Bridewell, I'd like to remind the board that last month you saw the Student Achievement Report. Dr. Peters presented that, and we had quite a lengthy discussion, and many times, that's an annual report, many times we are asking the questions of what are we doing with that data? And so you saw in that data that math was an area that we are continuing to work on. In fact, I had the academic services team give me the first quarter superintendent's data check-in this afternoon and talk to me about some of the plans that they're putting in place and how our new curriculum and resource is going. One of the things that we want to make sure that we do is show the board how this works and as an opportunity to look at the thread that is happening from this table all the way down to the classroom and to the students. We felt like math was a good place to do this, but it may be able to transfer to some of the other processes that we have in other subjects as well. The questions kept coming up about what are we doing with this? And so we have Dr. Means and Dr. Stucker. So Dr. Means is our Executive Director for Elementary Education, and Dr. Stucker is our Executive Director for Secondary Education, who both do the really out there in the buildings doing walkthroughs. They're going to talk about how we monitor this, but we are going to give a broad view of what this looks like from a curriculum and instruction and professional development perspective. So we chose math, and I'll turn over to Dr. Bridewell at this time.
All right, so we have Dr. Means and Dr. Stucker with us, but I wanted to take this time to acknowledge that while they do an amazing job leading this, we don't do this work alone. This work is in collaboration with our instructional coaches, our learning facilitators, our curriculum teams. Our teachers are really the ones giving the voice, driving, giving us feedback on a regular basis about what steps to take next. So I just want to make sure I take some time to thank those teams because they are crucial to this process, and we are very grateful for their work and dedication to this. So in our processes for building successful futures, one of the things that we're very proud of is we have consistent processes in Park Hill, and that applies to both curriculum and resource selection. And we use the CSIP to guide us in this process. So we are looking at academics, but we are also looking at how can we use curriculum and our resources to influence culture, that classroom community? What instructional resources will lend itself to that? How are we working towards our goal of building successful futures, that future-ready aspect? So we are incorporating all of these things in our decision-making process. This is an example of a flow chart we use for curriculum writing. We use the Rigorous Curriculum Design by Larry Ainsworth, and it really leads us into how do you take your state standards? We are driven through our state standards. And how do you unpack that and create a scope and sequence over the year so that we're really focusing on those priority standards and making sure we have opportunities for students to have appropriate timelines for learning. And we use that teacher feedback all through this process. So we're using data to help us. What is our assessment data looking like? What does the teacher feedback look like? We have teacher portals where they can send things in real time to us about, ooh, this is going to need a little bit longer to teach, or this doesn't need as long to teach as we thought it would. So we're getting that regular feedback. This is all the curriculum side. It's not the resource side. So once we write the curriculum and we're standards-based with the state, then we look at what resource will help us fulfill that curriculum. Sometimes our teachers get together and they say, we don't need a resource. We can design our own lessons, and we believe that will help us fulfill the curriculum better. Other times we look at we're looking at what's available, what we could possibly write, and we know that we want to pilot some resources. So this is that process that we would use to pilot, get feedback, look at data, and make selections. And this process never goes away. So if you can imagine, with how many courses do you have, Dr. Stucker?
100 something.
100 something.
Yeah.
Everything is on a cycle. It's about a 6-year cycle that we're constantly doing. So we know 10 years from now what is on cycle. And we can budget for that appropriately, but we can also begin that preparation with our teachers appropriately. So that we're always looking at this cycle, running everything through this cycle. Sometimes we go through this and our teachers tell us we don't need any revisions. It's working really well. We have great data. I'm satisfied with the ease of use of the resource. I like how it's set up. And so we just keep going. But we take that moment to pause, get feedback, bring the team together to make those decisions. Last year, we went through a lot of work with math. We were looking at the data. We knew this curriculum renew was coming for math. And so our teams worked really hard on piloting, writing curriculum, selecting resources, and preparing for this year. And we don't just select a resource and say, off we go. We couple that with professional development and training. And so today we'll talk to you a little bit about what that looks like. Something we knew we've done, we've always had a resource adoption rubric. But through our work with CRE and the CSIP, we've included some new components that we're really excited about, and that's the culturally responsive components and the differentiation. So looking at, does this resource have tools for English learners? Does it have tools for intervention? Does it have tools for special education? So we're evaluating our resources in new ways that we didn't always do in the past. So we use that continuous improvement cycle to make improvements and make sure we're making better decisions every day. All right, so now we're going to go to Dr. Means and talk about the elementary curriculum and resource.
Good evening, everybody. I do have a couple of samples I want to just pass around as I'm talking about the elementary side of things. So the first two resources that I'm passing around are the actual student book. Dr. Dillon has the kindergarten version, and then we have also the 5th grade version going around. And then we also have a kindergarten teacher resource, just so you can have an idea of what this looks like. And I thought, well, kindergarten and 5th grade, you can see where they start and where they're going to end up in elementary. So at the end of the 23-24 school year, feedback from our elementary teachers indicated that we needed a math resource, but we also needed to update our curriculum. And so we followed our district's formal review process, mentioned by Dr. Bridewell just a few minutes ago, and we piloted Reveal Math, which is a McGraw-Hill product. And we piloted that during the 24-25 school year. And after gathering input from our math lab teachers, pilot teachers, instructional coaches, the team recommended district-wide adoption for this year. And so starting this fall, all elementary teachers in grades K-5 began using Reveal math in their classrooms. In conjunction with this adoption, our math team also initiated a full revision of our elementary curriculum. And we did this to make sure that everything was aligned and consistent from K to 5. And when we revise curriculum, alignment with Missouri Learning Standards is essential. The writing process is led collaboratively by me and our district coaches. And then our writing team includes math lab teachers and instructional coaches. And together we ensure the curriculum reflects both state standards, but also district instructional practices. Once the writing process is complete, the full K-5 math curriculum actually comes to you, and it's presented to you and you approve the curriculum. And that happened just, I believe it was May or June this year. And whenever we adopt a new resource and update curriculum, implementation planning begins right away. And we consider two key questions when we begin our planning. The first question is, how will teachers learn to use the new resource effectively? And also, what instructional practices will ensure consistent, high-quality math instruction across our classrooms? In Park Hill, we expect our elementary lessons to include explicit instruction, math routines, differentiated practice and application, fluency practice, and closure. And our curriculum writing team works really hard to make sure that we include all of those in our curriculum documents, but also in lesson planning. And as far as professional development goes, with the new resource and curriculum, we actually began a sneak peek in the spring. Teachers had the opportunity to review the teacher manual, student materials, and just kind of go through and review what a typical math lesson or math unit would look like. And in August, we invited McGraw-Hill representatives to come and train our teachers on the new resource. In addition, our instructional coaches are meeting with teachers during their grade level collaboration time to continue learning, to talk about assessments, to talk about data, and to answer any questions they might have about the resource or the new curriculum. McGraw-Hill representatives will return in January to follow up with our grade levels to make sure that they're getting everything they need in regards to training on the new resource. Our math lab teachers and coaches are also continuing their math learning journey by completing a book study, and they're reading Building Thinking Classrooms together. And what they will do then with their new learning is decide how can we implement this into lesson planning for next year and share with their colleagues. So when implementing a new curriculum and resource, we always allow for teacher feedback, and Dr. Bridewell kind of mentioned that a little bit at the beginning of our presentation. This helps us determine next steps and possible changes for the next school year. So what I did was I picked some quotes that our teachers are already saying about the new resource. They think that they have lots of options. There's tons of resources here with Reveal. They like the online reports. They think it makes it easy to differentiate for students. Teachers can edit and share assessments. Everything they need is in one place. They don't have to go searching for things. Number routines are provided in every lesson, and they feel like the manual is easy to use, and that's especially helpful for our new teachers. And they love the exit tickets that are available after every lesson. The lessons help students gain conceptual understanding better than our last resource. So we thought that was all very positive. Great things to say already. So I've referenced our math lab team quite a bit, and I wanted to tell you a little bit more about what they do to support our teachers. Our math lab teachers are teacher leaders who write curriculum. They train teachers on new resources, on our updated curriculum, and best practices. They host classroom visits for new teachers and veteran teachers who want to improve their instructional practices. Math lab teachers also meet throughout the year for additional learning and for planning. So once we decide on a resource and we finalize our curriculum, we need to make sure that both are being implemented with fidelity. And so one of the ways we do this is through classroom walkthroughs and observations. I meet with all of our elementary admin teams, and we do walkthroughs together about once a quarter. And so this is how we go through the classrooms to see if the resource is being used and if the curriculum is being used with fidelity. The pictures on the slide show students using manipulatives to work through math problems. You'll see small group instruction on this slide, student collaboration, and avid note-taking. But what you might not see in the pictures is the CRE components in the Reveal resource, connections to Avid, and the rich academic vocabulary that's embedded throughout the resource. That was one of the key selling points for our team, was the vocabulary in this particular resource. So the last thing I wanted to share from the elementary side of things is a few examples from the resource and a little bit about the STEM kids in Reveal. And if you're looking through the workbooks or the teacher resource, you might have seen these STEM kids. They are K-5, they're in every resource. So each math unit features STEM kids who help students see themselves in future careers connected to mathematics. So the math they're learning, these STEM kids connect it to a possible future career, which is really cool. It's a great Avid connection to college and career as well. So on the slide, you'll see 5 STEM kids. The first young lady in the red hat is Grace, and she wants to be a computer programmer. And then we have Antonio, who wants to be a robotics engineer. And then we have Ruby, who wants to be a veterinarian. Noah wants to be a nurse, and Maya wants to be a geologist. You'll also see examples of daily problem types that promote critical thinking, collaboration, and application of mathematical understanding.
All right, now it's my turn to talk about secondary. This year, secondary focus is in all of our buildings is math. We have continued and will continue to provide opportunities for our teachers and administrators to learn more about rigor in the math lesson design. Our 25-26 secondary PD goal is to increase rigor through collaborative common formative assessments. She's on it. The curriculum process in secondary is the same as the elementary. We always align to the state standards and revise when there are new updates. My team of learning facilitators and I lead the curriculum writing process and revision. Teachers are included in the process since they have firsthand experience with the content and the students. After revisions have been finished, then we send it to you for approval. Instruction in the math class includes various strategies like Zaretta Hammond's Ignite, Chunk, Chew, and Review. The math teachers design lessons and problems with real-life applications. Big Ideas is our middle school resource all the way through Algebra 2 math resource from Cengage, and it has many opportunities similar to what Mary Beth said earlier with the characters. There's a lot of career connections in Big Ideas. There's an opportunity for students to collaborate and independent work to display understanding. Avid strategies are utilized to help students retain information, gain and understand, and create a positive classroom environment. Teachers are providing feedback to students as well as getting feedback from students on how to support them in the classroom. A priority for this year has been to provide more opportunity and structure to teacher collaboration. This year, middle school teachers across the district are collaborating virtually one time a month. For example, all the 7th grade math teachers meet to talk about curriculum, strategies, and other common aspects. The middle schools also meet during the day in their buildings during designated times with their grade level content partner. High school Algebra 1A and Algebra 1B teachers have been given district collaboration opportunities that are led by our secondary learning facilitators. The focus has been on breaking down the standards to create formative assessments to guide instruction. In their buildings, the high school teachers meet as a math department and with Common Course teachers during their after-school collaborations. Our focus for math has been increasing rigor in the classroom. We brought in the math resource provider Big Ideas, which I shared earlier, for professional development, so the vendor comes to us and provides additional help to dive into the resource to create lessons that promote critical thinking and problem solving. We've also trained the middle school administrators on this resource so that they can help support the teachers. And thank you to you, the board, for approving Dr. Peter Lillendahl, author of Building Thinking Classrooms, to come to Park Hill. His presentation sparked conversation on how to engage students in rigorous problem-solving activities. During my math walkthroughs in each of the buildings, I see building thinking strategies being utilized. In fact, I was in a classroom this week and was excited to see high school students in Algebra 2 talking, discussing, and even productively arguing about math. They really, really were. This is the second year of SOLA, our Science of Learning Academy. This was designed by the secondary learning facilitators to provide professional development for those that would like to learn more about best practices. We offer book studies on building thinking classrooms, which is a math, Peter Liliendahl's book, and the sessions were full and waiting lists. This is completely voluntary. Teachers are not required to do this. We are looking at adding more sessions for those that want to participate. Additionally, AVID has many collaborative note-taking and inquiry strategies that we are continuing to include in lesson design. Finally, we train our new teachers in the curriculum and resource. At the beginning of the year, they work with a curriculum leader to ask questions and learn. The new teachers are given time to observe a math teacher during their fall semester, and then in January, go to a different building and observe another veteran math teacher. This helps provide more access to different styles of teaching and ideas. I mentioned earlier that I was in a classroom this week. I conduct regular walkthroughs in each of the secondary buildings. We look for fidelity and implementation of the curriculum, resources, and strategies. The walkthrough form focuses on our CSIP goals. During these walkthroughs, I'm able to gain perspective on trends in curriculum and instruction for the building and the district.
Right, and so from here, the cycle continues. We continue to get feedback. We map out when the next curriculum updates would need to be or resource selections would need to be, and we just continue. We also continue with professional development and collaboration as well. So that is our presentation. Do you have any questions for us?
Only thing I would ask if, as a request, I guess maybe if you could, the flow chart that you had in there with the curriculum and then the process, showing where the instructional coaches are and the learning facilitators, if we could see that, because I'd like to see how those, because people that we see at CSIP meetings and different things, I just want to know where they fall into the line of the process.
Okay, thank you.
And I appreciate all the CRE being added and intentional about, you know, the review and part of the pieces of the curriculum. So, great job.
Yeah, and additionally, the multiple languages and using the same resource for SPED and having one resource to be able to do all those different avenues, that's really impressive.
I just like, first off, thank you for all the hard work. I'm looking through the books though, it's pretty awesome to see like students who look like our students in those books, and so those kids can know that, you know, relate to that in the process. I think was the intentional that you guys took with that was great, and just to like, and all the things that they can be. So I just think that that's great that it even starts at the kindergarten level where they see those people.
So, Dr. Kimbrell, you opened this with how it relates to our presentation from the last meeting. And I appreciate the process. It's very thorough, and I appreciate all the levels. How does that change if we, based on information we would have received at the last report? Because I mean, I've seen this process before. I know it's very thorough and it's very effective. But what happens if we get back academic information that says this isn't working? Do we have measures for an intervention kind of into our process or?
Yeah, so one of the things that we have, I'll answer this broadly and then I'll let the experts add on to that. But one of the things that you'll see broadly with our CSIP is that one of the first action steps that we have on that is about MTSS, which is multi-tiered systems of supports, and making sure that our students are all receiving quality tier 1. And so tier 1 is what a lot of what you see in this particular presentation. Then what we have is if students are struggling, we have the ability to intervene. They're using some of these resources, I'm certain, to help reteach, and there are probably pieces of these resources that allow for either remediation and or if a student already knows the material, how do we enrich a student's knowledge in that material? As a board, what you have done is resourced and helped us with math interventionists now that that has been a successful addition to helping with us help students. But what we see is that we want to be agile also. This is kind of that cyclical, can seem rigid in terms of that process. It's the people that we have that you have supported the classrooms and schools with that are able to be agile to respond to students' needs like what you had. We wanted to show you the depth of what goes into the overall process, whether it's curriculum instruction and professional development, but we also wanted to be able to, I think, take it a little deeper than, and we chose math because we had data that would suggest that this is an area that we're very focused on right now, especially with a new resource. And that is something that we are hoping that will address some of those pieces that we saw in the student achievement report. Dr. Bridewell, Dr. Means, Dr. Stucker, anything to add to that relative to other ways that we're able to pivot?
Yes, so I think you ask a very good question, because when we are looking at data, we have to take all the pieces into context. So if we go back to 1920, when we had launched new math curriculum, some updates then, we were on track to have some of the highest math data we had ever seen. It was going beautifully. New curriculum resources, professional development, and then surprise, we went home fourth quarter. And so we had a lot of inconsistent data. We didn't take the MAP test that year, and then coming back, we maintained as a district really well, but we were seeing some up and down. And so I believe the things that we have done and had established, our interventionists, the MTSS that we were beginning to roll out, is what sustained us. Where many districts saw a drop, we were pretty consistent. And then over the last couple of years, we were noticing some bigger changes. And then last year we were really concerned. But it had been a while since 1920 when we had that math rollout. So it really is important to have that continuous improvement cycle so that we are bringing that all back, refocusing, reevaluating our priority standards, and updating that for our teachers. It's just that it's because it's a cycle, particularly for elementary, there will be a new content area that we need to focus on and refresh. And that's why it's important to keep that up. Sometimes we naturally have drift. We have new teachers that come in that weren't here when we were training. And although we have components that keep us updated through our new teacher induction process, there's nothing like being a part of it when it's being renewed. And so I think that we are looking at all of those factors in the data to lead us to our decisions. But to also understand that these moments that we're in right now are really important to sustain us over the next 6 years. And we have to do this well, and we have to have that follow-up to make sure that we're keeping our new teachers incorporated into what this year is if they weren't here for it. I don't know if that answers your question.
Are there any mechanisms for adjusting curriculum mid-cycle? What would that look like?
Do you want to talk about the feedback?
Sure. So actually, coincidence, our elementary math team met today. And so once the new curriculum is written and the resources adopted, it just doesn't stop there. Again, this year, they're meeting to get feedback from teachers I know one discussion was, I'm not sure if Unit 2, something that's being taught in Unit 2, maybe we need to move it around in the order of how we're teaching. So that's happening right now. So yes, we can make changes and tweaks. If it's a big change, we'll bring that curriculum back to you all and you'll approve it again. If it's just minor things, we'll just make sure that we make those corrections and share that with teachers either probably next year. In elementary, we don't typically change it the quarter or semester, would be the next school year.
Another example of that would be when we first adopted STEM scopes, we had a unit on the sun and moon. And one of the activities was to go outside and track how our shadows change over time. Well, originally it was scheduled that unit in January. So you're not, at the time you're mapping it out, you're thinking this unit should go after this unit, it's going to be beautiful. And then we teach it and we decide, hey, we need to have that in the fall or we need to have that in the spring. That's a lot of going outside. It was really cold. And so we could swap those units around pretty easily. We might swap a unit that will align really well with social studies. So we can see that connection. So we want to make some changes and we leave room to do that through that feedback process.
And we can do that at the secondary level also. We do a little bit different in that we do have a big survey that we send out in February for all of our secondary teachers. And that's, as you can imagine, it's a lot of classes that we sent, everybody has an opportunity to gain feedback. And we go through that kind of like, I go through it with a fine tooth comb, and then I also take it to my learning facilitators, and then we take it to our curriculum teams if we need to do that. So we do make a lot of adjustments through the year. Sometimes we'll hear some concerns. For example, if it's a PE curriculum that you guys are going to see here in just a couple of weeks or next month, some revisions that we've made on that, and then we dive into it and they're like, oh, Keely, we messed up, we should have done this way. It's exactly like what Jasmine was talking about. As long as we have that communication, we can work through that.
I would also, I know that this is a math presentation, so we're only hearing about math right at the moment, but the opportunity for new teachers to observe more veteran teachers, does that happen in other faculties also?
It does. We, at the elementary level, we also have literacy studios. And so our new teachers have the opportunity to go and observe what basically an elementary ELA classroom looks like. So we support first year and second year teachers.
And at the secondary level, every single new teacher gets to do a plan or an observation during a class in the fall and then a whole one in January. So it is a big project for us to organize getting them signed to a teacher. And then we ask the teacher, are you okay with this? Also, SOLA, which I mentioned earlier, we are copying after the elementary, and we're going to start have some sample, I can't think what the word is. They're not, it's like they're math lab classrooms, but it's going to be for general classrooms, so that it's more based on strategies. So they can go into a classroom and see AVID strategies, or they can see PBS in action, or whatever it is. So it's maybe not the exact content, but we teachers that are going through SOLA right now, they have the opportunity to become one of those studio type teachers, and then we can start utilizing and training those teachers and kind of pouring into them so that they can be examples just like the math lab and the literacy studio. So we're going to be able to have that K through 12, which is exciting.
My 8th grader was in the Walden video that was posted a couple weeks ago, and that's kind of this, right? With
That's the building thinking classrooms, yes.
Okay, yeah, that was really cool, seeing him like standing up and like, not traditional rows of desks. They're up with each kind of like on slide, whatever it is there with the walkthrough document.
You'll
kind of
hear a
showing
lot
them
about
what
visible
like,
learning, and that's like visible. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you so much for all your work. It's amazing to see just how much detail and how much work goes into, we don't just kind of flip a coin at a resource and pick one. There's a lot of work that goes into picking the right one. So we appreciate all the hard work that goes into this. All right, we'll now move on to our written information items. We have items 12.1 through 12.5 are related to bids, contracts, and agreements. 12.6 through 12.10 are curriculum. 12.14 is around the legislative positions for the cooperating school districts of Greater Kansas City. The board will be asked to take action on these items December 11th at the December 11th, 2025 regular meeting. And then items 12.11 and 12.13 are informational only. Dr. Kimbrell, are there any that you would like to highlight?
Yes, I would. On the information only pieces, I did want to point out a couple reports that you have in front of you that are either giving you more data or other things that we've done in teams to be able to make this more available to the public. The first one is 12.11, and this is the Park Hill Summer School Programs Update. We had the program evaluation that you approved receiving earlier in the consent agenda, and this is pulling some of that data. There are three main highlights that I want to point out just verbally. That is that we had our highest enrollment ever again in summer school, which is very exciting. We had scores that showed that students that went to summer school compared to students that did not go to summer school in reading actually outperformed, and in math held steady. So this is a key intervention strategy that the board has continued to resource and help us. We have a full day summer school program. We feed our students, we transport students, and that's a big part of what you've done at this table to be able to make sure that that continues to happen. One of the other things in the summer school program evaluation and in this report that you see is that we monitor the student groups that are attending summer school. So one of the things we know from the student achievement report and other data we've shared with you is that we have persistent achievement gap. And that's one in which we see gaps between certain student groups. And we see that in summer school that some of those groups are actually overrepresented in summer school relative to our normal school year population, which is good. That means that those students, we don't necessarily do any targeting or anything like that, but that is something that we want to see is students taking advantage of those extra instructional days so that we are able to hopefully close some of those gaps. And so that's the summer school report. I'm going to cover a couple of these and then I'd be happy to answer any questions. The second one there, the 12.12, this is the CSIP report. This is something that we bring to you on a quarterly basis. This is a written report this time. Dr. Dial twice a year does this update to you relative to an information presentation. What you see in this item is actually what was shared with the CSIP team last month. And so it has all the data, all the metrics, and how we are doing with the updated data to that point. We wanted to bring that to the board and make sure that that was in here for the public as well. And then finally, 12.13 is something that is relatively new for us to put in there as a written report. This is very recent and new data as of just last week. This is our APR summary. APR stands for Annual Performance Report. As a district, what you will see there is that we are in cycle 6 of MSIP. So we have CSIP, which is our local strategic plan. MSIP stands for the Missouri School Improvement Program, and this is the statewide accountability system that we are under. Park Hill had a score of 91.2%. That is the highest that we've had in this cycle. And I want to definitely commend our entire team, everybody that's been working on these particular pieces. You saw 3 of our leaders in academic services just talking about our math focus, but that's happening across that department, across our student services department. It's happening in our business by resourcing and also our human resources by making sure we got quality people in front of our kids. That number has shown us to be very competitive around the city and actually in doing very well. So we also wanted to point out that there was one specific school that I know the board was interested in, and we've talked about publicly with some things that had happened last spring, that Line Creek was on the DESE list that identifies the lowest 5% in the state. They improved their score by 8 percentage points this round on their APR, and so we haven't got confirmation yet, but it is highly likely that they would not be in that designation any longer. Other building data is available in this presentation or this report with a link for the public, and I will be providing you individual school and building data in your Friday report. That's a lot on those three pieces, but I wanted to point those out and give some verbal context there. Be happy to answer any questions on these or anything else in this section.
12.11, I was looking at the report. In 2023, we had 70% of the enrollment with free and reduced. And then the numbers, that was super high compared to all the other years. Like 2024 was 46%, 2025 at 42%. Was there anything we did in particular during 2023, or could we find out?
I can find that out. I don't know if that's a function of still with any sort of COVID designation around free and reduced lunch, if that would have been a factor there, but I don't know. I will talk with Dr. Bradwell and Dr. Courtney, and we'll dig into that.
Just thought if we did something spectacular, we could reproduce that.
Yes,
and
yeah,
have more
I saw that
students
number
in
as
there,
well,
like
so.
70%. Thank you.
And then on that same report, I think I said the same thing last year, but that's like coming pretty close to half our students are enrolled in summer school. That's just amazing.
Yeah, 44% of our entire student body is taking advantage of this. And thank you to the board for continuing to invest in that program. We find it to be one that we think is a difference maker for our students.
Can you give, on 12.6, the new Applied Algebra 2 course, can we just give a quick overview to the board and the public on what that course is and what kind of, not shift, but
we're all looking at Dr. Stucker.
Yeah.
She was just up here, and she has overseen this process, so I'm going to ask her to come back up and address that question about.
Because Algebra 2 is a graduation requirement. But
Yes,
course,
yes. So this class was created as an option for students that are probably not going to use STEM or math maybe in their future after high school. And so we want them to be able to get through Algebra 2. It is a project-based class that has real-life applications. So students can see the Algebra 2 concepts in the real world. It is not a prerequisite for trigonometry or because those skills kind of dive into a different direction a little bit. So, but we wanted to be able, we do see students that get into Algebra 2 and it's just so hard. And so we want to not make it easier, but we want to make it very applicable for them. So that was why we went down the path of the Applied Algebra 2, which it is very career-based. It's very project-based. I don't know if you were able to look through it at all. The engaging scenarios I would love to do. And so that's why we created the Algebra 2. We do have seniors that end up taking Algebra 2 because they have failed it. And we want to deliver it in a different way so that they can be successful in Algebra 2.
Okay, and it still satisfies that Algebra 2 requirement.
We use all of the standards from Algebra 2 that DESE says we have to use. And we use all of those same standards, but it's taught in a different way.
Perfect. Okay, no, that's great information for me and for the public, because that can be a game changer in college and career ready. This the career and Algebra 2. Sounds like the perfect.
Yeah, we want them to.
Yeah, the perfect setup for that. So, okay, thank you for that impromptu call to the presenters.
I'm excited
Thank
about
you,
the
Dr.
course.
Stucker.
Well, and Dr., I would just add also that thank you. I'm glad that we have that because as soon as I got on the board, I heard from parents saying that, why did my kid have to take that class? they struggle or they get scared, and it's just like a piece of friction for them. And so having this option, I've actually heard from those parents, some of them, saying that they're so glad that they heard about this and that Park Hill listened to families and students and taking this into consideration. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate you saying that because we did. We took feedback from the community, and this community was asking for this class. So.
All right. Now moving on to policies, procedures, and forms. Mr. Fulgham, come on up. We have 7 policies and 4 procedures and forms that have been submitted as information items tonight. Mr. Fulgham, can you provide a brief overview of all of them at this time?
Thank you. Now that Policy Committee is back in session, we are starting the process of what most of these will be working through policy updates out of last legislative session, and there was a lot that impacted schools. So this is just the beginning, more to come. That's the general theme. I'll highlight 2 of the big ticket items. One is IGDAA, resident participant. That is based on the new law that got passed that allows students that reside in our district but are homeschooled or participate in virtual school to participate in some district activities and events. So it kind of outlines the parameters based on that statute, and work with Dr. Singletary on implementing that part of it. And then the other one to flag won't be a surprise to you, but JFCD, that's the new cell phone or electronic device, personal electronic device policy. Thankfully, we were ahead of that process, thanks to the work Dr. Bruton led last year. So it definitely helped with making implementation smoother. But we are required by law to have that policy that tracks the new statute language on that issue. So wanted to highlight those 2 items, but I'd be glad to answer questions on any of them if you have them.
So I have a question on IKF. So I just was reading through that just to make sure, so is this saying that those who are homeschooled can walk and get diplomas from us, or is it just what? Okay, I was just trying to understand,
Yeah, there are limits to it, and it's mainly has to do with, sports or certain other activities, but that's the focus of it. So.
Okay.
All right, any other questions right now? Okay. The board will be asked to take action on policies 13.1 through 13.7 at the December 11th board meeting. Items 3.13.8 through 13.11 are informational. Thank you, Mr. Fulgham. All right, we'll now move on to board member reports and requests. Do we have any reports or requests tonight? Ms. Boland?
None, thank you.
Mr. Todd?
None tonight, thank you.
Ms. Norris?
Yes, just going back to the parent that we had at the beginning and how she indicated that her student had to move schools during the school district year. I would just be interested in how many students, it sounds like they decided maybe this was a better place for the student, but that is disruptive, and how many have had to be moved to a different school.
We can get that for you. Yep.
Okay. Ms. Woodley?
Nothing further than what I've already asked.
Okay. Ms. Barnes?
None, thank you.
Okay. All right, then I'll need a motion and a second to adjourn to closed session for the purpose of discussing matters relevant to personnel pursuant to RSMO 610.021, 3 and 13.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion from Ms. Barnes and a second by Ms. Boland to adjourn to closed session to discuss personnel matters. Ms. Freeman, can you call the roll?
Barnes.
Yes.
Boland.
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Terwilliger.
Yes.
Todd.
Yes.
Woodley.
Yes.